Rich in Derbyshire says, afternoon Ian, reforms pull. People are sick and tired of the uni party, and there was one word that stands head and shoulders. If there was one word, it would be immigration, plain and simple, says Rich. I'm getting a lot of that. Thank you, Rich, for that. A lot of similar comment about the phrase uni party is being used a lot. Dean in Oxford regards reform and why it's simple. You can't blame them for anything. Simple as ABC. That's a really good point as well. It might sound like an obvious one, but they can't, but they haven't got a backstory in governing. And while some say, well, that's surely a challenge for them, that makes their life difficult, right? I mean, they've got no experience. But they've also made no errors because they haven't got that backstory. And there's an attraction in that, starting from scratch. Not going with convention, what you've always known, what has always been there. So this new poll reveals that Nigel Farage has matched Keir Starmer's odds of becoming the next Prime Minister, sharing the votes at a whopping 13%, with Nigel Farage Party Reform constantly polling above 20% this year. Are they really becoming the true party of opposition? Let's speak to Conservative peer Lord Craig McKinley. Craig, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hello there, Ian.
Nice to have you with us as ever. Look, I mean, you've been in politics a long time. You know what these, we often see patterns come and go. There's no doubt about it that this is fairly game-changing time, isn't it? Because this is a party that didn't exist half an hour ago and only has 5 MPs, and now they're predicted to get 180 MPs, and their leader's going to be Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, I mean, polls come and go, of course. I mean, the reason, I think you put your finger on it, actually, or one of your viewers did, in that they're deemed to be sort of clean skin on this. They haven't got a backstory. People are generally a bit brassed off with the traditional parties. They're certainly brassed off with the Labour Party at the moment, with all those sort of promises they came in on, and none of those have been realised. It's actually, I can't even swear on this much as I'd like to, but it's not much of a show, is it? Let's be honest. And I have to say, much of what my party did in power in terms of immigration, very, very poor. Obviously, the COVID period, whoever was in the saddle during COVID is not going to come out of that easily. And well, because of the high cost and the high tax and everything else. So people are saying, don't like this lot. We've tried the other lot. Let's try a different brand. So I think that, in a very, very small nutshell, is why Reform are getting a bit of play at the moment. But, be careful what you wish for a little. And it could be on May the 1st that Reform do well in local elections. And then people will be able to see very, very clearly what they're like running something. Because at the moment, they've just been very good at iterating what is wrong with the country. That's easy. I can do that on a back of a fact packet as much as anybody else. Don't like the level of immigration, don't like the level of tax, don't like what public services are doing, they're pretty poor, let's try something new. What we have got is a list of what's wrong from Reform, but not much of a list about what they will practically do to put it right. Now, that is the big gulf between just being annoyed about things and actually being in government. But let me give you this advice, and my experience and relationship with Nigel goes back over 30 years.
Yeah.
Beat him in the 2015 general election in South Thanet.
Indeed.
Now, his party then did actually take the local council, Thanet District Council. And within a couple of years, it was seen to be a totally shambolic council, and they were thrown out, and they didn't come anywhere at all ever since. And including at the 2017 general election, so just 2 years afterwards, their candidate, local guy, nice chap, stood for UKIP those days and came nowhere. So these things come and go, but try them out in local government and you might actually see that they're actually not very good at doing the things that they say they might do. But it's one of those things. People are annoyed. I get that. They're looking for something new.
Do you know what? You've just reminded me, Craig, of that long old night down there at the Count in 2015. It went on forever, didn't it?
I'm glad I didn't get out of bed till 4 o'clock in the morning and to go to it. I'm glad I wasn't up all night.
Oh, my God. Well, I was up all night, and thank goodness for Al Murray, of course, the pub landlord, who was also standing in the seat that night as well, because he made it vaguely entertaining for journalists like me that were just hanging around, and then finally the count came and you took the seat, of course. Nigel Farage didn't succeed. That looks as if things are changing. If you took Farage out of the picture, one of the questions we're exploring here, Craig, Do you think that makes a significant difference to Reform UK?
I mean, he's great at spinning a story. Very good at that, and he speaks well, and he's good on a platform. Does well with his show on GB News. There's nothing about his the way he conducts himself that is not appealing. But I mean, just look at them in the House of Commons. They've all been trying to get in there for a very, very long time, not least Nigel. And within just a few months, you've got this big schism between him and Rupert Lowe. I don't know what the truth where that will settle about it all. You've got writs kicking around, threats of litigation, and all of that going on. I mean, rats in a sack having a fight. There's only 5 of them, for heaven's sake. We used to say that the Conservative Party was good at having an internal row, but there was at least a few hundred of us to have a row. I mean, there's only 5 of them. For heaven's sake, we should be all delighted they're there and working together as a team. But far from me to give them advice as to how to run a new group in Parliament. But
what do you say, Craig, to this?
Well, does it?
Indeed, no. I'm sure they would prefer it to be different in that respect. But this suggestion of the uni party, we keep hearing that it's getting used more and more. You're a Tory, you have been forever, and then there's Labour, of course. Essentially, you're the same thing. There's not a cigarette paper you could put between you. You're the uni. You might tweak a little bit here and a little bit there, but when push comes to shove, you'd be hard-pushed to find dramatic or tangible, sizable differences between the two of you. You both sing from the same hymn sheet, hence the uni party. What's your response as a lifelong Conservative to that?
Well, I wasn't lifelong Conservative. Obviously, I was one of the founders of UKIP. So I was Conservative before that, had days with UKIP over a decade and then came back to the Conservative Party. But you do find, I mean, it can be a strength of the British Constitution why we're attractive to international investors, because we do tend to meander around a fairly central point. A bit more tax on one side, a bit less tax the other side, and all the rest of it. But I can see why people say there isn't a great deal of difference. But that sense of sticking to a moderately central line can be appealing. And actually, many countries would say, we'd give our right arm to be like that. But yes, at times, and particularly now, I would say I'm far from impressed with how we left the immigration scene as an outgoing Conservative government with 800,000-900,000 extra people coming in a year. How on earth that happened on a Conservative watch, I will never know. But COVID had a lot to answer for. That's the reason we spent massively. I mean, discuss. I was against most of those measures. As a Conservative, I was a regular opposer to my government line. I didn't think it was worth spending £500 billion on all these support measures, but they had to be paid for, and they were paid for, and so you're left with a lot of debt and hence a big tax bill. I mean, none of that can be swept away as just an irrelevance, because that was real, that happened. So that was behind us. But you just look at what this Labour Party are doing. I mean, they're taxing businesses with a high rate of national insurance. You're killing farmers and small businesses with new inheritance tax rules. There is a vast difference between the way the Conservative Party sees the endeavours and how small businesses are to be encouraged in this country compared to the Labour Party, massively. I mean, not to say that we did it perfectly. I stood on my feet in Parliament at the time and was opposed to the increase in corporation tax from 19% to 25%. I was regularly opposed to some of the measures, but generally and broadly, we were there in favour of small business and big business and encouraging companies to come to the UK to invest and spend and encourage non-DOMs to come and live here. I mean, all of that has been swept aside and we haven't actually seen the outcome of that yet. And I can tell you, it's looking into the crystal ball, it's not going to be nice under this Labour government over the next couple of years.
Well, we will see. And between now and 2029, Craig, I'm sure we will speak many times. I certainly hope so. I always enjoy our conversations. Lord Craig McKinley, Conservative peer, with us on the programme. Thank you to him. Reference that new poll revealing that Farage has matched Starmer as the odds of becoming the next Prime Minister. What are we making of that? If you took Farage out of the equation, would you still vote Reform, or what draws you to Reform UK?